This ad right here generated $168,000, and this almost exact same ad on this side made zero. Now, the thing is, there was only one single difference between these two that allowed one of them to crush and the other one to die. So let's go ahead and play each of these really quickly, and let's see if you can spot the difference.
Cash or private pay healthcare providers. Do you want to discover how we scaled from $50K a month in just one location?
Cash or private pay healthcare providers. Want to discover how we scaled from just $50K a month in just one location?
Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what the difference between those two ads were, but obviously one was me and my ugly face, and the other one was UGC or user-generated content. In this case, it was just someone from within our company. So what we're going to cover in this video is, number one, why should you do this within your company for your ads on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, everything across the board? When should you actually do this? When do you actually implement UGC into your ads? And then I'm literally going to give you the entire process of where to find these people, the document that I use to actually send the script off to them with directions. And as always, I'm not going to hold anything back in this video. Now, super quickly, if you're like, who the heck's this guy? Why should I listen to him? Well, I'm with a company called Closer.io. My name is Aaron. And we spent last month alone, we spent $430,000 on ads through Instagram, through Facebook, just testing a bunch of stuff. And this year we'll finish just over $30 million in sales. So this is all I do all day long. I make a ton of ads, and I do it so that you can just learn from what I'm doing for free here on YouTube. So with all that nonsense out of the way, let's jump into point number one here, which is why should you even do this? Why should you think about doing this within your company? So the first thing is going to be creative diversification. So as you start to spend more on ads, what's inevitably going to have to happen, especially with, I made a video about this a couple days ago about the Meta Andromeda update, which Meta specifically is saying is like, if you want to scale ad spend and keep the same cost, you need to add more creative. But if we're looking at two different things, should I make more creative or should I just like get more out of the creative that I know is already working? It is going to allow you to diversify in a much easier and simpler way. So the second reason is to cure banner blindness. So if you're not familiar, banner blindness, essentially what that means is as you're scrolling on social media, if you see something one time and then you're scrolling and let's say you come back later on, is if you scroll through and you see like the exact same ad again, you're not going to be likely to actually click on that because you've already seen it before. So if we can cure that banner blindness by just adding a different element or a different person, in this case, it is going to allow your creative to go a lot much further. Now that ties directly into the next one here, which is being able to appeal to different demographics, right? Humans are going to relate with people that are like them, right? So if I just go down here to some of the people that we've used in our ads, I mean, if we just look at these different people, it's like you watching this video, just looking at this might appeal to a different person or resonate more with a specific person. So I'm going to pull or gravitate towards me, very different people from me than let's say Tiana, for example, or that very different from Cole or Spencer very different from let's say Sasha, right? She's a little bit older, right? Or, you know, a face like this one with a different background or this guy here, that just every single person is going to pull a different person that's like them. So I'll tell you guys a quick story. Back in 2021, we ran one of our first in-person events, which I'm more on the marketing side. So I don't really see a ton of the clients. I just like, I attract them, right? So I was at the first event, and at this point in 2021, Cole, right, was the only face of these ads. Their room, 96, 97% dudes. It just is what it is. But then if we look at a year later, right, from 2021 December to 2022 December, that's in that time frame is when we started to run ads with Crystal down here. And the room, I mean, it wasn't 50-50, but it was definitely more like 70-30 in terms of like 70 still being dudes. But it just goes to show that your front end marketing is going to attract those types of people that are like you. So anyway, gives you another reason there. And the last reason that I put here is it could help if you're not good on camera. So we always recommend, you know, some people that'll come in, maybe they have a really great offer, but they just have never been on camera. This gives you a really easy way for you to not have to do that and basically just create a brand personality or the face of your business through UGC. Now, I want to call it an elephant in the room because this is like a huge objection or kind of nervousness from a lot of clients or people that I consult with, is that they say that, well, Aaron, if I use UGC, then it's not going to connect because my VSL is different and they get on a sales call and it's a different person. But the thing is, guys, is we've spent tens of thousands of dollars with some of our best performing campaigns being from UGC and having literally, I mean, maybe it's like a 0.05 or 0.5 like difference in terms of the performance, but the difference that we see on the back end metrics in terms of you know, cost per book call, cost per MQL, things like that. Is like there's no correlation between like dip in company and having a different face. So now that I squashed that objection, let's jump into the second point here, which is when do you use UGC in your ads, right? So really the only way or the most optimal way that you can do this is to only pay to get UGC, right? User generated content for your creative on proven advertising. So I'm going to break this down. So when I look at advertising, or at least in this case, if we're looking at different faces and just like the core concept of, or the core copy, right? The copy being the ad creative or the script, if you will, is there's 50% on each side. And now again, there's multiple different things when it comes to the success of an ad. But if we're just, again, comparing these two things, is 50% of that is going to be on the copy and 50% of that is going to be on the talent, right? If we have a specific person doing an ad script, that is 100% of the ad. Now, the reason this is very important to understand is we're focusing on this keyword here, right? Proven. So let's just say you are sending a piece of copy, right? Your advertisement to a UGC to record, but the copy isn't validated and the talent isn't validated. Well, guess what? We basically, in this equation, we have a 0% chance, or not necessarily 0% chance of the ad working, but 0% of data to make a decision based on that. But if we can have already proven copy, right, one that you've done or somebody else in your company has done, we now have 50% of the, in this equation, we have 50% of the chance that creative will succeed because we've already validated one of the most important, if not the most important part of the ad itself, right? Resonating with your ideal client. So this example might help you understand. Let's say you go to a casino. Let's just say you have the chance to gamble, right, on roulette or a slot machine. Now, roulette, if you haven't played it, basically there's a ton of numbers and then you can pick either black or red, right? And then they spin the little wheel. We'll throw up some B-roll if you haven't seen it, but they spin a wheel and then wherever the ball lands is you basically win if it's landed on there. So if you pick black or red, that's a 50% chance that you're gonna win, right? That's much higher likelihood than, let's say, if you found a random slot machine. There is no strategy there, right? You're just pulling the little crank thing and hoping and praying that the ad is gonna work, right? I equate this to playing roulette with these ads with UGC versus just like a gamble of just hoping and praying that everything works out when you send a non-proven piece of copy to a UGC creator. Now, I know what you're thinking, calling out lots of elephants in today's room is, Aaron, you said the ad, it made $0, but then the other one made $168,000. Why is that a proven ad? That doesn't make any sense. Well, it's because you need to understand where you need to make your decisions off of, right? A lot of media buyers or people that are just getting started, they get so excited around, well, this is my cost per click or my cost per impression or how many impressions I'm getting, right? A lot of these like just front end metrics, even cost per booked call. But what I'm going to tell you is what we found after spending, tens of millions of dollars on ads at this point over the last 5 years is I put want here, but you need to make decisions on back end metrics of your funnel. So things like MQL, which is marketing qualified leads, right? Cost per call and your upfront cash ROAS. So I'll explain these things. MQL essentially is a marketing qualified lead. All that means is people that come through the funnel, maybe you have like 10 booked calls, but 4 of those people are qualified based on the application that they go through. Maybe some are a little bit more financially qualified. Maybe some have a little bit more motivation to get started immediately, right? That would be a marketing qualified lead. Cost per call, I think if you're watching this video, probably know what that is. And then upfront cash ROAS. So all that means is how much cash are you collecting up front from those sales calls that you're having? So, obviously a lot of people, their next question is like, what are the KPIs? What numbers should I shoot for? I want to leave a really big disclaimer here. This is going to be dependent on a lot of things, right? This is going to be dependent on what is the price point of your offer. It's going to be dependent on what type of market are you going after? Are you going after B2C? Are you going after B2B? How much are you spending, right? Because as you continue to spend more money, you are going to decrease efficiencies and the costs are going to go up. But everything at the end of the day, at least to a point, equals out, right? But if we're looking at just general KPIs, don't attack me in the comments, is your general KPI they're going to shoot for is $100 to $300 cost per booked call. And if you're like, Aaron, I don't know how to calculate any of these things, I made a video, we can put it down in the description or probably pop it up on screen around our tracking mechanism and exactly how we do that. So you can check that video out after you watch this one. But generally you want to shoot for $100 to $300 per cost per call. Could be lower if you have a lower price point and a much bigger market. Could be higher if you're going after like enterprise, B2B companies doing like hundreds of millions of dollars a year. But again, general KPI, don't kill me in the comments. Cost per MQL, right? Cost per marketing qualified lead could range anywhere from $400 to $600 plus. So again, just something to shoot for. And then your upfront cash ROAS on a successful campaign, right? What are we looking at as a company when we're like, okay, we need to scale this creative? Is are we getting 3 to 4x of the cash on the front end, right? So basically, how much are we spending? Let's say we're spending $1,000. We're not, but if we're spending $1,000, from that campaign specifically, we want to be making $3,000 to $4,000 back from that specific ad creative, from that specific campaign. So again, general KPIs to look at. And I want to show you why this is important from an overall like business growth standpoint. So let's just say we have these two examples here. On this side, we have a cost per booked call of $100, a cost per MQL of $300, and then upfront cash collected at 2x, right? In, high level, this could be good. I see a ton of people posting like, I'm getting $30 booked calls or, $100 booked calls. But I'm like, well, dude, what's the upfront cash? Like no one's talking about upfront cash percentage on the front end because, 2x, I mean, that's good, right? You're putting $1 in, but then you're getting, a dollar back, right? You're operating a legal money printer. But if we look at this side, right? If we look at cost per booked call being $400, cost per MQL $700, but our upfront cash ROAS is 5 times, then, on the front end, right? If we just looked at these numbers, we'd be like, oh no, that's a bad campaign, kill it. But it's generating more cash. Well, Aaron, how could that work out? And this is theory, right? It's like, we're not like tracking every single call. Well, we might be actually. We have 17 full-time people that track metrics. But the theory here is, yes, we are paying more for an MQL and a cost per book call, but in theory, based on these numbers, is we're generating a higher quality prospect, right? Because if we're paying more to generate that higher quality prospect, in theory, they're going to have more money, they're going to be more invested, but just overall more upfront cash collected, right? Why is this important? Well, if you really get down to the fundamentals of how do you grow a business, right? You need money to grow a business, and your business or your P&L doesn't care about your cost per book call. Your P&L doesn't care about your cost per MQL. Your P&L cares, right? Your profit and loss statement cares about how much money are you making at the beginning, right? Again, a lot of people like to say, oh, my revenue ROAS is this, right? Okay, cool. Your revenue is imaginary money, and you don't want to make decisions off of that. I'll just throw that in here just as a general KPI. What we're usually looking at is anywhere from 6 to 10%, or 6 to 8x revenue ROAS, if you want to throw that in there. But again, like I didn't include it in here just because it's not super important, because you don't want to make decisions based on imaginary money. All right, guys, so jumping over into the screen so we can show you, number one, how to actually create the script that you would send over to the UGC person. And then I'm going to show you on Fiverr where you can actually just find those people, and it's going to be really, really easy. So first things first, this is very basic, but I found that the more basic that you go with these scripts, it's going to be so much easier for the UGC to just like get it done super quickly, and then in the most efficient ways possible. So what I like to do, again, super small thing, I'll just put, hey, here's the ad, dash talent script. And then there's 3 things that I do, or 4 things. Number 1 is I record a Loom video of me reading the script in the tonality, in the way that I want them to do it, and then also give them any pointers, any different things to emphasize, things like that. Also, I'm gonna drop examples. So you're gonna drop your proven ad, or however many versions of it is just give them one ad and just be like, look, here's an example. This is the tonality. This is the what we're going for, right? The pacing, the speed, that type of thing. So you're going to give them an example, and then you're also going to tell them the tonality. So mine in this specifically is like, hey, keep it conversational, guy, girl next door. This is like an acting, like voice acting direction. And then, feel free to ad lib and make it sound as natural as possible. So for example, for me, I'll like ad lib different lines. Like I won't fundamentally change the script when I'm doing an ad, but I get mine from copywriters, and then I'll like maybe change some things based on like what is easier for me to put out there, or that just sounds a little bit more natural. Because sometimes scripts are written in a very like, say this, say this, say this. It's like you want to give them a little bit of creative direction. And then I just put no professional spokesperson type. So it just depends on what you're going for. If you're like, you want it buttoned up, doctor style, right, very corporate-y, then you can say that. But I just want like super laid back. I don't want you to sound like a spokesperson like, hello, this one single hire. I don't want that, right? I just want something that is going to sound natural and it's going to perform well as an ad. And then all you're going to do is you're going to put the script. So just make sure that you go through and proofread, change your script, because sometimes it'll say like, hey, my name is Aaron Martinez. You want to switch that to like, hey, my name is insert name, right, in the little brackets. With X company. So that is basically it from the script. Super straightforward, and then you would send this off to them when you send them the order on Fiverr. By the way, if you want this template, just go down in the description below. I'll just give this off to you. No opt-in or anything, no name, phone number, email, just my gift to you from checking out the channel. So let's talk about Fiverr, where to find these people. So there's really 2 main things you can search up. I would search up spokesperson, is one that you can do, or you can search up UGC. So UGC creator, and then you look through them. Now, what I'm generally looking for is, I mean, the main things you would look at when you're looking for reviews of anything is like, what is their turnaround time like? What is the experiences with other people? And then more importantly than that is you want to look and see like, what is the quality, right? But also like, just think about what we talked about earlier is what type of avatar would resonate with your specific offer. So like if you have a day trading offer, don't get a UGC of like a super highly professional. You can even see some of the ones we've used, right? This is one guy that I showed you guys. Crystal is super well known in the space. That's the other thing you kind of have to be careful of is just see what's in your space, because she has done a lot, like nothing against her, she crushes it. She's the face of a lot of ads these days. So just, you don't want to use someone where it's very clearly like, oh, like I've seen this ad before, I've seen this person before, but just like have that in your mind. Like what type of avatar would relate with my thing, right? Maybe this would be good for like a tax or like financial planning offer, right? He looks super professional. He has a couple that are in suits, things like that. One big thing I'm not a fan of is like green screens. Just looks tacky, right? I just want something that looks like, I like this one. Lighting could be better, but it just looks very natural, right? This one, you know, maybe I'll just note that down and maybe I'll use that one here soon. But that's just the main thing is you want to look and just see, also look at some of their examples, right? Who fits the feel, right? Is this person too professional? Is this person, not as professional I want it to be? You can also do different things. Let's say like, spokesperson, medical. Maybe you have like a medical offer, for example. That one ad that I showed you it is catered towards like med spas, things like that. So maybe you find one where this could resonate because, hey, they're in it. We actually use this one. This one has performed pretty well. Go get Linda. Give Linda some. I'm not getting paid to say that, but go see what Linda can make for you. So you just go through these things, and the other question that I always get is like, Aaron, how much should I pay them? I mean, the thing with these is it will start to get, when you're first started, I mean, I don't like to even use the word like pricey, because some of the UGC we've paid, I mean, we'll maybe pay them like a couple $100 and that ad goes on to make like $50,000 to $100,000. You know what I mean? So it's like, the return is there. And as long as you have a proven copy that you're using, it's like, it astronomically increases your chances of that video performing well. But yeah, you'll just go through. If I had to give a general number, I'd say you'd pay based on, because a lot of them do it by word as well. So some people, they will do like crazy numbers, like some will charge like $600. So when you're first starting out, I would say pay anywhere from $100 to $400. That's going to be like your average, honestly, probably closer to $200 to $400 is going to be what you pay for it. And I'll just give you guys an example here. Let's say I go to Radalston. Actually, we've had him in a couple of our ads. He starts at $115, 4-hour delivery, and then you can see here is number of words. So like our average script length, from, anywhere from like a minute to 2 minutes long, I'd say about 400 words. So as I put that's actually not bad. Like this guy, I know he performs really well. So Radalston, go give him some love too. He's going to get like a bunch of people requesting ads and then be like, yo, what the heck's going on? So tell him Aaron sent you if you do put this on. Now, the other thing I would look at too is a lot of times because like they'll get a lot of orders from people that don't really have like a video editing team or anything like that. So what sometimes you'll see is, so like this guy, he has a basic edit. I'll negotiate and be like, hey, I already have a full-on editing team. How much would it be if I just sent you the script? You just do the script, send me the raw file, and go and sometimes that'll cut it down by like half, because that is a big part of what they're actually doing. So just another little trick of the trade there. And just, again, like it is going to take a couple of times to really figure out your overall process of like, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? But once you do it a couple times, just like anything, right? The more you practice something, the better you're good at it. You'll be able to find, okay, like this person, I can already tell is going to do really well. This person maybe is not going to be the best for my offer. And ultimately you can make decisions based on all of those things. Now, I know I've said this multiple times in this video, but really this process will work the best and work astronomically better if you have a proven script. So you can click the video on screen. I go over my entire scripting process and even show you some of our best performing ads and do some of these ads from creation to filming live for you. So check out the video on screen. We'll see you there.